Israel says it's resumed enforcing its fragile ceasefire with Hamas after the U.S. brokered truce was severely tested on Sunday. Israel carried out dozens of strikes on Hamas targets across Gaza after the military said 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in attacks by Hamas militants. Hamas has denied involvement. Health officials in Gaza say more than 40 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes, ranging from Rafah in the south to Jabalia in northern Gaza. For more, I'm joined now by Giorgio Cafiero. He's the CEO and founder of Gulf State Analytics, a geopolitical risk consulting firm based in Washington, D.C. Good to have you with us. Now, let's begin with the latest reports, with both sides accusing each other of violations. We're only just over a week into the ceasefire, so has this come as a surprise to you?
Unfortunately, I have to say I am not too surprised about what is going on. As Ben Gvir recently announced, now that all of the remaining living Israelis who were held captive in Gaza have returned home, as Ben Gvir said, his country is now set on resuming its war on Gaza. At the time of this ceasefire coming into effect and being announced earlier this month, there were many analysts who were extremely concerned about this happening. They thought that basically this was an effort really just to get the Israeli hostages home, not move toward any sort of lasting ceasefire. And unfortunately, I think some of the bloodshed that we have witnessed in Gaza in recent days really speaks to the fact that these concerns were very valid. What's going to matter, though, is the extent to which the Trump administration puts pressure on Israel to show restraint and abide by the ceasefire. That's the variable in the equation that actually matters right now.
Right. Israel, we'll get to that in a bit, but Israel's saying that it wouldn't let Hamas retake control of Gaza. Hamas is saying it insisting it needs that control to deliver on the ceasefire. Is there any realistic middle ground here, or are we sort of locked in a dead end?
Yeah, well, I'm sure as all your viewers are aware, one of the problems with this ceasefire deal is that there were so many vague aspects, so many details that were not addressed. Hamas definitely did not agree to everything that the U.S. and Israel wanted the group to agree to. So while Hamas has said that it would disarm, that would come at a later point after an Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. So these questions about the timing and the sequencing were never worked out. And I think now we see in practice that this is quite problematic. Getting to the heart of your question, though, I have a tough time imagining Israel accepting some sort of an outcome in which Hamas remains a powerful or at least even a relevant actor in Gaza. When we look at the figures who surround Netanyahu, these are very far-right ideologues who believe that this war should never come to an end until and unless Hamas is completely eradicated as a political and military player in Gaza. So I have a tough time being optimistic about some sort of a middle ground, but it brings me back to this other point, though. If the United States tells Israel that it has no choice but to accept a certain status quo, Israel, by virtue of how much it depends on Washington, would have to accept it. So I repeat again, that's the variable in the equation that really matters. All eyes should be on the Trump administration right now.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Trump administration, but as a whole, there's the U.S., there are also the other mediators. What particular role can they play? Because there's Hamas as well in the picture. What role would they play in keeping both sides accountable to ensure the agreement holds?
Well, obviously, there are some U.S. allied countries in the region, Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar, that have varying degrees of influence over Hamas. And as we saw earlier this month, those regional players use their influence to get Hamas to agree to Trump's so-called peace initiative with 20 points, or at least to get us into phase one of that. So I certainly think that if the U.S. is going to put pressure on Israel to abide by the ceasefire and help the different sides move forward toward phase two and then subsequent phases. There's certainly an important role for regional states to play when it comes to the Hamas side, but we certainly don't know. I mean, we have to really consider the possibility of this ceasefire completely falling apart at any minute, to say nothing about all the unknown variables between this point and us getting to phase two.
Right.
Just one unknown variable meets the other at this point. There's no guarantee that this ceasefire, which is so fragile, is going to last.
Middle East analyst Giorgio Cafiero in Washington, D.C., thank you very much for speaking to us.
Good to be with you. Thank you.